Welcome to Wingman Men's Moments Podcast. I'm Randy Ferreira, and I'm with Pastor Jay Dennis, my buddy. We are co-founders of Wingman Nation in City Central Church in Lakeland, Florida. We're Christian men, husbands, fathers, and grandfathers who have a passion to help men become better husbands, better dads, and more godly and Christ-like men. Good morning, Pastor Jay. How are you today?
Good morning, Randy. I am doing great on this wonderful, beautiful morning in Lakeland, Florida.
Yes, Happy New Year, by
Happy
the
New
way.
Year to you as well. Man, we're excited about a new year and all the things that God is going to do. We have no idea what they are, but we know if it's from God, it's good.
That's right.
No doubt. Well, today we're looking at a subject entitled What Wives Wish Their Husbands Knew About Communicating.
Woo!
Uh-oh.
Say that. What'd you say? I didn't hear that.
Here we go. See if the following sounds familiar. What did you say? I cannot believe you said that. I wish you'd say something. Don't say that to me. Quit yelling. Then we really throw in a communication problem by asking, honey, where would you like to go out to eat tonight? A golden anniversary party was thrown for an elderly couple, and the husband was moved by the occasion and wanted to tell his wife just how he felt about her. She was very hard of hearing, however, and often misunderstood what he said. With many family members and friends gathered around, he toasted her. He said, "My dear wife, after 50 years, I've found you tried and true." And everyone smiled with approval, but his wife said, "Huh?" He repeated louder. "After 50 years, I've found you tried and true." His wife harumphed and shot back, "Well, let me tell you something, mister. After 50 years, I'm tired of you too." You know, the number one reason couples in their marriage is communication problems. The sense of not being able to express your feelings without having World War III. The feeling of not being heard or not being being misunderstood. One mate dominating the conversation, one mate preoccupied and not listening. So statements like, "we don't talk" or "he won't listen," we can communicate, are numerous. So we're wanting to delve into maybe the don'ts and the do's of communicating with your wife. All right.
Thank you. It's such a hot topic. It really is. That's, I know you've counseled a lot of men, and so have I. And
Yes.
that's one of the top things that they talk about is understanding each other.
That's right.
And ladies are also very. It's evident that there's not a lot of communication from their men.
True.
And they don't listen. We don't listen. So, and that's. There's some truth to that. So
Exactly.
So let's talk about the don'ts of communication first, and we'll get those out of the way, and then we'll get to the do's. So let's identify the communication busters in marriage and avoid these no-nos.
These are definitely no-nos.
The don'ts we're going to identify first. So the first don't is don't talk too much. Now, you would think that would be, wait a minute, we want him to talk more from a lady's perspective. But on the other hand, for both parties, don't talk so much. You keep putting your foot in your mouth when you do half the time if you talk too much, especially men. So be sensible and turn the flow off.
I'm glad that's a proverb. Proverbs 10:19.
So some have the idea that good communication is when he talks and she listens, or vice versa.
Right.
Not so. It's been suggested that more marriages will fail where there's too much talk rather than too little talk.
Interesting.
And there's times for few words and silence and communicating with loving looks and special touches, and not just words. That's true, but nonverbal communication is the most powerful form of communication that we know. So
Right.
The second don'ts are don't talk too little. Your mate can't read your mind. A lot of guys do say this, and I know I've said it in the past. We can't read your mind. So if you talk too little, you got to ask more questions. So she won't know what's going on unless you're willing to spell it out and share it specifically. So don't hold it all in and sit there. Yeah, everything's okay. So silence is often used as a weapon to get back at our mates. So it's the game of something is wrong, but I'll never tell you what it is. What's wrong, honey? Nothing. Simon doesn't say this, Simon. Silence can sometimes be golden, but it can also cut you in two. because you don't know.
That's right.
You know, it's been estimated that in a typical 24-hour day, listen to this is pretty amazing, that a woman's they voice some 25,000 words, while the average man only verbalizes 10,000 words in a day. Unfortunately, the man invests about 9,000 of his words in his typical workday, and his wife will invest about the same number in her workday if she's working or at home. When they get back together in the evening, his verbal bank account is approaching bankruptcy, while her verbal bank account contains a surplus that must be used by midnight or lost forever.
And therein comes the problem.
So women often have the needs to talk and need to hear her husband invest part of his verbal bank account by telling her daily of his love for her, for example. As a matter of fact, somebody once asked, when should a man tell his wife he loved her? And a wit responded, before someone else does.
Yeah.
Yes. And yet another man confessed in bittersweet irony that he loved his wife so much that sometimes it was all he could do just to keep from telling her. Yikes.
Tell her, guys. Tell her.
You know, and just on a sidebar about telling people that you love them, I think, you know, Jesus was all about love.
He was.
And we should tell everyone that we love them if we love them. If you truly love somebody, tell them, your brothers, your sisters, you know, before you hang up the phone, say, hey, I love you.
Yeah.
Tell everybody.
I've never heard of anybody dying by saying, I love you.
Yes. But it's not prevalent in families today. When I was growing up, we never said, I love you, ever, ever, ever. And even though we knew that our mom and dad loved us and we loved each other as brothers and sisters, we never said it.
Right.
So a few years back, I started incorporating that with my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And if I'd be on a phone call with them, you know, at the end of the conversation, I'd say, hey, love you, Rose.
Yeah.
And didn't hear the response back. And now recently they're catching on and they're going, wow, this is really cool. And they're doing it as well. So same with your children.
Yeah.
You're on the phone with them. If they're grown up kids, obviously, if they're younger, definitely tell them every day you love them. But later on, as they get to be adults, tell them you love them all the time. Text message, whatever.
Yeah. Why do you think that is so hard for men to do?
Ego,
Could
pride.
be, yeah.
Never had it from their parents.
Right.
You know, there's lots of reasons.
That great gospel group, Southern gospel group, the Eagles, have a song entitled "Get Over It."
Get over it.
Just get over it.
That's a good one. You know, here's another little quip. I once gave my husband the silent treatment for the entire week. At the end of that week, he declared, hey, we're getting along greatly, aren't we?
Well, number 3 is don't be a continual complainer. Proverbs 27:16 out of the Living Bible says, you can no more stop her complaints than you can stop the wind or hold on to anything with greasy hands. Don't always try to find something wrong. Don't be negative. Don't be an Eeyore.
Eeyore. Guys. What type of animal is Eeyore now?
Isn't he yeah.
Jack of all trades?
I believe
so don't be an Eeyore.
Good. Number 4 is don't nag. Proverbs 19:13, a rebellious son is a calamity to his father, and a nagging wife, a noise like constant dripping.
Oh, God.
Oh, I'm going to be real careful here.
Constant dripping, by the way, is like Chinese torture. You know, that's
yes.
Drip.
Right,
That's,
exactly.
That's torture.
Nagging means to torment
there you go.
with persistent demands or complaints. There you go again.
There you go again.
Why didn't you? Why do you always?
Yeah.
You get the point.
And by the
5,
way, just as another a little quip here, why do you always? Whenever you say, you always say that. You always say that. That word "always" will get you in trouble. Always,
big time.
Because the minute it'll be less about the actual comment and more about the word "always."
Totally.
Oh, so I always say that
Yeah.
all the time,
and they will be
What?
historical, not hysterical, but historical, and say, "No, here's an example."
So that's
Exactly.
like a definitive word that you don't want to use. Men
No.
or women shouldn't use it either about always, because we don't always do the the same thing or say the same thing.
That is
Nor
so
do our
good.
wives.
Good point. Number 5 is don't be too quick to speak up, and when you do, don't speak so fast your mate can't understand you. Proverbs 18:13. What a shame, yes, how stupid, to decide
Oh,
before
gosh.
knowing the facts. So be careful about jumping on your mate before you know the facts. Proverbs 29:20. There is more hope for a fool than for a man of quick temper. Number 6, don't be argumentative. You can disagree without having an argumentative spirit. You can attack a problem and not attack the person. So what he's saying here, I think, is don't be intentionally difficult.
That's good.
With
That's
your
really
mate.
good. Yeah, that's good. Number 7, don't use cutting and sarcastic remarks. And we tend to try to do that sometimes, and that's just not good. In
Right.
Proverbs 12:18, it says, some people like to make cutting remarks, but the words of the wise soothe and heal. It has the idea of stinging speech, kind of. Don't be condescending to our mates. Don't talk down to our mates or be dismissive of what she is saying, even if you don't agree, even if you think it's out there.
Yes.
Whatever you might think, always encourage.
Right.
And then give suggestions.
Exactly. You and I know of men who they will do that with their wives publicly.
Oh, my.
And they will make a sarcastic remark about a comment she makes. Guys, this is never right.
That is not good.
Yeah.
So a sermon illustration from marriage experts that marriages thrive on kindness. So it says, what helps a marriage thrive? John Gottman, one of the world's leading researchers on marital relationships, looks for the presence of contempt or kindness within the marriage. Here's what the research has found. Contempt is the number one factor that tears couples apart. People who are focused on criticizing their partners miss a whopping 50% of positive things their partners are doing. That's huge. And they see negativity when it's not there. People who give their partner the cold shoulder, deliberately ignoring the partner or responding minimally, damage the relationship by making their partner feel worthless and invisible, as if they're not there. Not valued, basically, is how they take that. And people who treat their partners with contempt and criticize them not only kill the love in the relationship, but also they kill their partner's ability to fight off viruses and cancers. Being mean is the death knell of relationships. So negative energy and negative comments can, statistically it's proven, conjure up a lot of the inability to fight infections in our bodies. So that negative feeling. So kindness, on the other hand, will glue couples together. Research independent from theirs has shown that kindness is one of the most important predictors of satisfaction and stability in a marriage. Kindness makes each partner feel cared for, understood and validated, and feel loved. And that's what we all want. We want to feel loved. A line from Shakespeare captures the spirit of kindness. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That's how kindness works too. There's a great deal of evidence showing the more someone receives or witnesses kindness, the more they will be kind themselves. And that leads to upward spirals of love and generosity in a relationship.
And it really takes so little to be kind.
It really does.
Just going that extra mile and being kind and not being contemptuous with our mates. But look at number 8. Don't interrupt. Proverbs 18:2. A rebel doesn't care about the facts. All he wants to do is yell.
Yeah.
So allow your mate to finish. Butt ends build walls. Let her finish, and you listen not only for what she says, but perhaps what she didn't say. And then number 9, we alluded to this a moment ago, don't get historical. Not hysterical, but historical, always bringing up the past. Proverbs 17:9. Love forgets mistakes. Nagging about them parts the best of friends. So don't put your mind in rewind and push play. Don't get historical.
That's good.
Number 10 is don't speak in angry tones. Proverbs 14:29, a wise man controls his temper. He knows that anger causes mistakes. Proverbs 15:18, a quick-tempered man starts fights. A cool-tempered man tries to stop them. Proverbs 16:23, from a wise mind comes careful and persuasive speech. So don't play let's trade verbal jabs. One man, while browsing in a Christian bookstore, discovered a shelf of reduced-priced items. And among the items was a little figurine of a man and woman, their heads lovingly tilted toward one another. Happy 10th anniversary, read the inscription. It appeared to be in perfect condition, yet its tag indicated damaged. Examining it more carefully, he found another tag underneath and chuckled, "Wife is coming unglued."
I like that one.
Sometimes we all come unglued.
Yeah, we do. So, number 11, don't use the words never or always. We talked about this a little bit previously. An argument results in the exception when you say you never or you always. You forget the conversation, as we said, and you seek to find the exception,
Right.
and that further makes things even worse.
It does.
So never, never, never use never, 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 or ever. Number 12, don't pout. Jay has a problem with this. I see him pouting all the time. He kicks his feet every time he and Angie get in a fight. So thou shalt not to sulk, to thrust out the lips, like this, to protrude the lips. It often manifests itself in withdrawing and becoming distant, and
Yes.
guys do pout.
Yeah, I think more than the ladies, don't
Yes.
you?
And you don't realize it when you're mad. You know, if you get angry, you think, I'm just mad. But you're walking around, your head's
Yeah.
down, your lips out. You're like a big,
Right.
don't do that, guys.
Yes.
It's not worth it.
When I hear Angie say, "You're not saying much," I know, uh-oh.
Leave me alone, I'm pouting.
Exactly. We're always under construction in our marriage, so never stop growing with your marriage.
Amen.
So important. Thank you all so much for listening to our podcast, and this would be a great family devotional, a great devotional for couples to sit down, as Randy said, and to go through this together. And guys, be willing to let your wife share with you maybe some things, some blind spots
Right.
that you have. Things that you may not be aware of, but know that her goal is to help you and not to hurt you.
Yes.
So important. Well, thank you again for listening in this brand new year, but until next time.
Till next time. By the way, you can find us on any podcast site, wingmannation.com. Wingman out!